Coming up on today's Alabama Football Report, we're looking at all the news and rumors surrounding the college football transfer portal as the month of turmoil continues for the Crimson Tide. Now, if you still love Alabama with or without Nick Saban, which I think every person watching today's show feels that way, then like the video right now. Simple, easy way to show your support for the Crimson Tide. Let's start positive here. It seems like Bama might have found their center. Parker Brailsford has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide following his visit. Not necessarily a massive surprise. It's one of those like, he's in the portal. I'll probably end up at Alabama, given the way we've seen things go so far. Brailsford is listed at 6'2", 278. It's kind of not the biggest player, but we know he fits the Alabama or the new Alabama offense under Kalen DeBoer because he came with Kalen DeBoer. He was at Washington previously. The freshman spent almost all of his snaps at center this past year. I should say freshman last year. Now, of course, going to be a sophomore. 2023, only 1 sack allowed, 2 hits, 11 hurries, really good run blocking grade. And this is the type of thing that Alabama needs to have on offense as they transition from the Saban era to the DeBoer era. I would argue, as far as a center/offensive lineman can be, I think this is a massive home run hire, or get, I should say, for Alabama. It's not a hire, although they do get paid these days with NIL. You had nothing at center. You had total uncertainty, and you didn't really want Seth McLaughlin anyway. He's now, of course, at Ohio State. And you get one of the higher graded centers. Again, it is PFF, so it is an asterisk. No one else does offensive line grades. He was the second highest graded center this past year, behind only Oregon's Jackson Powers Johnson, who's going to be a top 50 whatever pick in this upcoming NFL draft. And it gives you not just short-term stability, but some longer-term stability at the pivot point. I still maintain center is one of the more undervalued, underrated positions in football, because when you have a great center, man, things can go your way a lot easier. Now, I still don't know what's going to happen at left tackle. Booker, Brailsford, Roberts, and Pritchett maybe are in good spot. Left tackle with Wilkin Formby is a bit anxiety-inducing. I wouldn't be shocked if you have to wait until after spring practice. I do think with most of the portal being closed to players that aren't at Arizona, Washington, and Alabama, it will reopen in the spring. And I think you will see another wave of players going in the portal. Another noteworthy wave of, hey, there's Alabama spots open that weren't open previously. I can go fill that spot. Right now, offensive line depth isn't your friend. And when you've got basically two schools, Washington and Arizona, that are now adding talent, you're not going to find much. I think there will be more that emerge, as we get further along into the spring once the portal reopens. So grade the transfer edition of Parker Brailsford. A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and sound up the pinned comment of today's video. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Also sounds like Bama could be getting another former Husky wide receiver. No, not one of the guys going pro. Germie Bernard, who Domino was a big return man for Washington last year and kind of played a secondary role to the trio of Adunzie, McMillan, and Polk, who are off to the NFL for the Huskies. 34 catches last year, 419 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bernard had a successful season, as a backup receiver for Washington. With what Bama has, I think it would certainly make some sense. Make some sense to have an impact there. He's a multi-time transfer, by the way. Was at Michigan State, then goes to Husky State. Only had 10 returns, although it did offer some value there, plus 3 punt returns. So multi-time transfer, kind of following DeBoer, gives you added depth. And he didn't really have a great return man option, especially with Caleb Downs no longer as your punt returner. McKinstry was that guy. Could certainly fill a role there. Let's check in also on the latest involving Jabbar Muhammad, the Washington corner. Have you noticed a trend yet on all these guys in the portal? It wrapped up an official visit to Bama this weekend. I do think NIL will be a factor here, which is noteworthy. To a certain extent, the Bama NIL plan under Saban was you'll earn it. you're going to have to adjust that game plan with Kalen DeBoer because you don't have Nick Saban being the single greatest recruiting pitch to every college athlete known to man. Here's what Muhammad said on his Alabama visit. Quote, "I want to be in a stable situation. It's my last year, so I want a lot of stability, and I don't want dysfunction in my last year. I want to be a program that I think is going to contend and be in that Final 12. I want to be in a good secondary and get some accolades of my own. I'm gunning for the Jim Thorpe Award this year." I don't know if Bama really is the stable spot because there's so much change right now. There is some continuity from his old coach, but everything's different. So I wouldn't be that shocked if a team like Oregon or Texas, maybe who'd been linked previously, offer more stability because everything's still in place from the same way it was last year. So where will Jabbar Muhammad transfer to? Is it Alabama? Is it somewhere else? Sound off for me. Where else but the comments? And while you're down there, click the link, chatsports.com/Alabama jersey for Alabama just up to 30% off customized jerseys. You can put a player name on there, your own name on there, friend, family member, whatever. You can get some older players, some graduated players. Bryce Young, maybe not the best guy with a kind of a rough rookie season, but there's Tua's, there's Najee Harris's, there's all of your wide receivers, your defenders. You got a lot of options there. Go to chatsports.com/Alabama jersey for the deal right now. Now, there has been some shuffling in the portal at quarterback as well. Austin Mack committed to Alabama on Thursday out of the transfer portal. He was an extra early enrollee, I should say, at Washington. And then Julian Sayin, the 5-star, nopes out of there. And whether that was Alabama got Mack and then Sayin left, or Bama knew Sayin was uncertain, so they got some insurance in Mack, who is clearly a guy Kalen DeBoer wanted and still wants. Whatever the chicken-egg debate came, they're definitely connected. Of that, I have no doubt. Mack offers good size, listed at 6'6", 226. Reclassified early to become the number 16 quarterback. I will say, not to be, Tom Downer here, that makes me anxious because the reclassifying quarterback commit hasn't really worked yet. And there's actually some very high-profile failures. JT Daniels stands out to me. So that actually does scare me, although he's got at least a year, because oftentimes the reclassified quarterback ends up having to play early when they're not ready. Mack would not have to. 4-star recruit, number 214 overall, the number 16 quarterback, number 16 from the state of California. And again, I don't know if this is downer or upside. If he had committed to Alabama, would he have been higher? Because the recruiting services always tend to trend towards those SEC schools to a certain extent. Now, Mack's only 17 years old. You got to be patient here. He reclassified from that 2024 class to enroll as part of the 2023 class. I think when you are moving forward with Kalen DeBoer in charge, got to trust him on offense. Got to have belief in him that, this is going to be the guy that he wanted and he's going to maximize properly. So I'm not going to be salty over Julian Sayin leaving. I am disappointed. I will not lie to you. I was very excited about him being a member of the Crimson Tide. Got to move forward and adjust from that perspective. If you have doubts, of course, you can always go watch the Huddle film, which I appreciate that stuff being available these days. Makes life a little bit easier. Let's move now to Noah Carter, the 2024 4-star edge. We discussed some recruiting updates here. Early buzz from On3 is the expectation is that Bama will end up landing Carter. Number 264 overall. He's the number 23 edge in the class of 2024. Number 5 from the state of Arizona. I think it is important to get as many DeBoer people in terms of your recruiting class, because there's a lot of changing, there's a lot of turnover. It's not Saban. Guys that want to play for DeBoer, you want those guys to give you something resembling continuity as we move forward. Now, we are 49 subs away from 16,000. That is it. Help us get there today. More free Bama football videos when you sub right now. Final update today on Ryan Williams. Visited Bama this weekend. Seems like he had a great time. I think Williams has had a fun process so far. Because with the way that the timing ended up working out for him, he is the recruit out there right now. And everyone else, most of the top guys have already committed. He reclassified, so there was that wave of attention, and he gets to go to all these great places. And that's not a negative, to be clear, by the way. Still have this plan to Texas and Auburn. The plan here is to sign on February 9th. This, of course, 2024 class. We'll see where he goes. Texas is making a big push, of course. Auburn has all the receivers and no quarterbacks. They should go after Will Rogers, by the way. Make a big deal for them. We'll keep you guys covered, so make sure you are subscribed.